When you're feeling it's junk, do you find that it's necessary to maybe get away from it?
I'm not the writer who sits at his computer every day and counts words. A lot of my writer friends work from intricate outlines that are longer than their novels. Mm-hmm. They write 2,412 words every day because that's just the number they picked.
Yeah.
And then when they hit that last word, they jump up and they're like, I'm free, and they run out of their office to go play golf. Me, I write in big bursts, and then for weeks on end, I don't write anything at all.
Does it scare you if those weeks on end pile up a little bit, or do you have enough faith now in your own flow that you'll know when the moment's right, you'll go back to it?
Yeah, let's say 6 or 7 books ago, I would get a little more anxious than I get right now because, like this last book I just finished, I had a deadline.
Which is not
this one. No, this is for spring of next year.
Yeah. So you're way ahead of all of us.
I am. Yeah, that's my job, to be. And it's one of those things you learn from experience. That I knew that it would come because I'm constantly thinking about it. I'm very professional about it. I've never missed a deadline of any kind in 14 years. Yeah. And I know that I will get it done. But the reason why is because I love it so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I love thinking about these things and really cool details that will, sort of surprise people.
How scary is it for a writer then to, your hands, for example? Are you careful about them? Will you not bungee jump because you need your head? I mean, do you find yourself thinking how your entire well-being is your well-being?
Yeah, I don't do that. I mean, my hands are all banged up. I played football and I was a wrestler in high school and college, and my hands are all banged up. I don't think about that. We do a lot of sports and boating and wakeboarding, and your hands get ripped up. The summers,
live your life.
Yeah.
You never saying, "Oh my God, my head."
Never. No, I've never thought about that.
Don't let me plant that idea in that head.
You've already done it, Carol.
That has all these.
Where's my insurance agent?
Now,
Millions.
When you're talking about your characters, and I think this is very interesting because I gather this from you. You go walk in their steps a little bit, don't you? You go where they're going to go. And that's one of the really wonderful things about your books, especially for readers who live in the Washington area, is that it is where we live that you're writing about. Even when it's Virginia, it's not that far away from here. But I noticed I think it was in Stone Cold, you made reference to a coffee shop at the corner of Wisconsin and M, and I was like, okay. And then I'm sure and that's our cemetery at the top of the hill, Oak Hill, right?
It is, Mount Zion.
So, though the rest of the story changes a little bit there.
Yeah, you do. You fudge the tales a lot, and sometimes I have another series, the King and Maxwell series, Simple Genius and Hour Game and Split Second. Right. And I'd gotten so many emails from people saying, that mailbox you said was on that particular, it's not really there. So I would change that in a later edition if I were you.
Well, you end Stone Cold with something that would have almost been the beginning of this interview, and I'm not going to read it because you don't want anybody to read it until they finish the book. But you invoke the Writer's Bill of Rights.
I do, yes.
And what does the Writer's Bill of Rights mean to you?
The Writer's Bill of Rights means that I can change reality anytime I want to, and I can move buildings. I'm Superman.
Yeah.
I can move countries. I can move timelines, generations. I can make historical events happen 20 years later or 20 years earlier, and there's nothing you can do about it. Because Congress says that I can do it.
Yeah, it's good.
And they know everything there is to know about lying.
And you're a lawyer, so, take me to court. But you will take real things and move them, and you will take history and jerk it around a little bit to suit yourself. And
I think in the interest of telling a really compelling story, anything is sort of fair game.
And since you write so much about the Secret Service and the CIA and the FBI and all that, do you find them now coming to you and saying, David, we want to tell you things you won't believe?
All the time. I mean, it's just,
you can't use half of it, right?
Yeah, it was funny because I had a call from the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. And they said, we'd like you to come to our Bethesda headquarters and we'd like to show you around because we think we might be good subject matter for a future novel. And I said, well, that's interesting. So I went up there and we were in a conference room with all these people, and it was a great facility. And they said, one reason we wanted you here to sort of set the record straight. Do you ever see the movie Enemy of the State with Will Smith? I said, yeah, I saw it. He said, we are so ticked off about that movie beyond belief because in that movie they had the spy satellite people being the NSA. And that wasn't the NSA. The evil people were not NSA. We were the evil people. And we got no credit for it at all. And we're really upset about that. So we want you to write us doing something evil. Because we do evil a lot better than NSA, let me tell you. Because they are just the ears of America's intelligence empire. We are the eyes, and we see everything. They just hear stuff.
And you're like, okay.
And yeah, I get agencies from time to time that call them U.S. Marshals, ATF. They like to come and meet with me. A lot of them read my books, and a lot of them are like, here's my card. You ever need any expertise about this field? You write about this, call them. We'll be glad to do it. I went down to the Secret Service one time to research Split Second, and they were very accommodating. They took me all through the building and talked to everybody I needed to talk to. And then a group of us were heading down an elevator, and another agent walked by who was not with our party, and he had his gun and his badge on. And all of a sudden, he whipped around and pointed at me and screamed out, "Hey, you!" I was like, man, I don't like people with guns screaming at me. And I said, yeah, is there a problem? And he said, are you David Baldacci? I said, I don't know. Do you like his books? Because if you don't, I could easily be John Grisham. And he said, no, I love his books. I said, oh, well, I'm him.
Put the gun down.
Yeah, and he said, well, that's a relief. And I said, why is that a relief? And he said, well, I'm walking by, I see you. And I know you, but I don't know why I know you. And I'm thinking he's either a guy I've read or a guy I've arrested. So,
that's wonderful.
But yeah, going out in the field is very important for me.
Well, in that vein of your reliance on what happens in Washington, I thought I'd bring up some of our better known scandals, or whatever you want to call them, notorious moments, and how you as a novelist thought of them and what you might have done differently with it, or if you thought it was stranger than fiction. Valerie Plame, that whole episode.
Yeah, that was for me. That one of the themes in the book I just finished will be out is, I think this personifies Washington in a lot of places, not just to pick on Washington, but the truth is unpredictable. Mm-hmm. So you never want to discover the truth. And why waste time trying to discover the truth when it's so easily to create it? It's so much easier to create it than actually spend time finding it. And, with Valerie Plame, it was one of those things that it seemed like one coincidence after another, fall down, where it was like one mistake, one tumble, one inadvertent sort of thing. But then conspiracy theorists tried to sort of tie it all together and say it was this massive conspiracy. I don't think anybody will ever sort of figure out what really happened, which is aggravating for a lot of people. Was it sort of planned? Were they really that smart? Or were they just a really bunch of really stupid people? And this all ended up as a big mess. Mm-hmm. And with Valerie Plame, it was just one of those things that brought to my mind, and actually I thought about that case when I was writing this next book, because it's almost one of those things, games you play as a kid where you whisper in an ear and it goes around the circuit at the end. It's totally different from what the first person said. It's so easy to plant things these days, and I really play up the theme about how many times do you open a newspaper and it says where the story comes out and it says the source requested anonymity because he wasn't authorized to say what he's just about to say.
Right.
And that happens every day. You open up the Post or the New York Times, there's stuff in there all the time. And I always wonder, and with Valerie Plame too, you always wonder who's actually authorizing this person to speak, even though he's not authorized to speak. Is it the people who he actually works for? Is it somebody who's the enemy of the people that he works for? But that stuff for me is fascinating.